I never imagined that a simple mix-up could unravel the fabric of my entire life. It started one sunny afternoon when I found a letter tucked away in Claire's jewelry box while searching for a gift I had hidden there years ago. The box, an elegant wooden chest with intricate carvings, was Claire's sanctuary for cherished mementos, old love letters, heirloom jewelry, and apparently secrets that could destroy a family. My fingers trembled as I lifted the envelope marked with Claire's neat handwriting, to be opened in case of my death. Curiosity mingled with apprehension as I tore it open, revealing several pages in a small sealed envelope labeled paternity test results. The first page was a letter, a farewell note from Claire, expressing regret and guilt. My heart pounded, my breath caught in my throat. What could she possibly regret that she would write a letter like this? Fear and confusion gripped me as I unfolded the paternity test results, not fully comprehending what I was about to discover. The words blurred for a moment, the implications sinking in slowly. The results were clear and undeniable. Emily and Jason, the children I had raised as my own, were not biologically mine. It felt like a physical blow knocking the wind out of me. "Claire!" I shouted, my voice echoing through the silent house. She was in the living room, absorbed in a book, but her eyes widened in shock as she saw the paper in my hand. The book slipped from her grasp, landing with a soft thud on the carpet. "Jack!" Her voice trembled, tears welling up in her eyes. I stormed toward her, the letter clenched tightly in my fist. "What is this?" I demanded, my voice shaking with a mixture of rage and disbelief. She stood up slowly, her face drained of color. "Jack, please, let me explain." "Explain," I echoed, my voice rising. "How do you explain lying to me for 18 years? How do you explain raising another man's children and letting me believe they were mine?" The words came out in a torrent of emotion, years of trust crumbling around me. Tears streamed down her face, but I felt no sympathy. My world had just been obliterated. "Tell me the truth, Claire," I insisted, my voice quieter now, filled with a desperate need to understand. She sank into the nearest chair, her hands covering her face. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she whispered, her words barely audible. "It was a mistake, a terrible mistake." I stared at her, disbelief mingling with anger. "A mistake," I repeated, incredulous. "How can you call this a mistake?" She took a deep breath, composing herself. "It started before we were married," she began, her voice trembling. "I met Mark again at our high school reunion. It was just supposed to be a casual catch-up, but things happened." My mind raced, trying to process her words. Mark, her old flame from high school. The pieces were starting to fall into place, but the pain and betrayal were still raw and overwhelming. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, my voice hollow with hurt. "I was scared," she admitted, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I was scared of losing you, of losing everything we had built together. Everything we had built together." The words echoed in my mind, taunting me with their hollow promise. I looked at her, really looked at her for the first time in years. The woman I had loved, the woman I thought loved me back. But now, standing before me, she seemed like a stranger. "I need time," I finally managed to say, my voice barely a whisper. "I need time to think." She nodded silently, her shoulders slumped in defeat. The silence stretched between us, heavy with unspoken words and shattered dreams. I turned and walked away, leaving her sitting alone in the dimly lit room. The letter and paternity test results lay forgotten on the floor, stark reminders of a truth I could no longer deny. As I closed the door to our bedroom, I leaned against it, trying to steady my shaking hands and racing thoughts. The children, Emily and Jason, how would they react when they found out? How would I tell them? But amidst the turmoil, one thing became clear. Claire and Mark would not get away with this betrayal. They would regret the day they decided to deceive me. The days that followed were a blur of numbness and disbelief. Every waking moment was consumed by the revelation that Emily and Jason, the children I had loved and raised as my own, were not biologically mine. It was a truth I couldn't escape, haunting me like a relentless specter. I spent sleepless nights poring over old photographs, searching for any hint of resemblance to Mark. the man who had fathered them. How could I have missed the signs? How could Claire have hidden such a monumental secret for so long? Denial crept in like a thick fog, clouding my thoughts and emotions. Maybe there had been a mix-up at the lab. Maybe the results were wrong. I clung to these fleeting hopes, desperately trying to find a way to refute the evidence staring back at me from the paternity test results. But deep down, I knew. I knew the truth, and it gnawed at me, tearing apart the fabric of my reality. The life I had built with Claire, the dreams, the memories, all of it seemed tainted now, overshadowed by her betrayal. Claire, for her part, seemed to retreat into herself. She avoided my gaze, her eyes haunted by guilt and regret. We moved through our days like strangers occupying the same space, words left unspoken between us like a chasm too wide to bridge. Friends and family noticed the tension, the unspoken rift that had suddenly divided our once happy home. They offered sympathetic words and concerned glances, but I couldn't bring myself to confide in anyone. How could I explain the devastation that had upended my life? Work became my refuge, a place where I could bury myself in tasks and deadlines, if only to escape the turmoil waiting for me at home. But even there, amidst the familiar hum of office chatter and the click of keyboards, I found no solace. In the quiet moments, when I allowed myself to confront the truth, rage simmered beneath the surface. How dare Claire and Mark deceive me for all these years? How could they rob me of the joy of fatherhood, of the bond I thought I shared with my children? But alongside the anger was a profound sadness, a deep ache that seemed to seep into my bones. I mourned for the family I thought I had, for the future I had envisioned with Emily and Jason by my side. The loss was palpable, a gaping hole in my heart that refused to heal. Days turned into weeks, and still I wrestled with conflicting emotions, betrayal, disbelief, heartache. The truth hung over us like a dark cloud, casting a shadow on everything we once held dear. And through it all, one question echoed in my mind, a question that demanded an answer I wasn't sure I wanted to hear. What now? The tension in our home had become unbearable, a palpable weight pressing down on us both. Days turned into weeks as I wrestled with the devastating truth that Emily and Jason were not my biological children. Every glance at them stirred a mixture of love and betrayal, a reminder of the deceit that had shattered our family. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the house settled into an uneasy silence, I found myself standing in the doorway of our living room, watching Claire as she sat on the couch, staring blankly at the television. The time had come to confront her, to demand answers I feared to hear but needed to understand. "Claire?" I said, my voice betraying the turmoil within me. She looked up, her eyes meeting mine with a mixture of apprehension and resignation. "Jack?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. I crossed the room slowly, each step echoing in the stillness between us. My heart pounded in my chest, emotions churning like a storm. How could I begin to articulate the betrayal that had shattered my world? Finally, standing before her, I held out the letter and paternity test results. "Explain this to me," I demanded, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and pain. She took the papers from my hand, her fingers trembling as she unfolded them. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she didn't look away. "I'm so sorry, Jack," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I never meant for this to happen." "How long?" I asked, my voice hoarse. "How long have you known?" She hesitated, her gaze dropping to her lap. "Since before we were married," she admitted, her words barely a whisper. "I met Mark again at our high school reunion. It was supposed to be innocent, just catching up. But things happened." "Things happened," I repeated bitterly, the words tasting like ashes on my tongue. "And you kept this from me all these years?" She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I was scared, Jack. Scared of losing you, of losing everything we had built together." I hoped I could make things right, that it wouldn't matter in the end. "How could it not matter?" I exclaimed, my voice rising with a surge of anger. "You deceived me, Claire. You let me believe these children were mine." "I know," she sobbed, her shoulders shaking with the weight of her guilt. "I know I messed up. I should have told you the truth." "And Mark?" I asked, my voice quieter now, filled with a desperate need to understand. Does he know? She nodded slowly. Yes, she admitted. He's known all along. A wave of fury surged through me, threatening to consume everything in its path. Mark, the man who had stolen my wife and fathered my children. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined. And now? I asked, my voice steadying despite the storm raging inside me. What do we do now, Claire? She looked up at me, her eyes pleading for forgiveness. I don't know, she whispered. But please, Jack, please don't leave us. I love you. I never stopped loving you. Her words hung in the air, a fragile plea in the face of irreparable damage. I wanted to believe her, to reach out and hold on to the fragments of our shattered life. But trust, once broken, was not easily mended. I need time, I finally managed to say, my voice hollow with hurt. I need time to think. She nodded silently, her gaze dropping once more. Silence stretched between us, heavy with unspoken words and shattered dreams. I turned and walked away, leaving her sitting alone in the dimly lit room. The letter and paternity test results lay forgotten on the floor, stark reminders of a truth I could no longer deny. As I closed the door to our bedroom, I leaned against it, trying to steady my shaking hands and racing thoughts. The children, Emily and Jason, how would they react when they found out? How would I tell them? But amidst the turmoil, one thing became clear. Claire and Mark would not get away with this betrayal. They would regret the day they decided to deceive me. Days turned into weeks as the weight of Claire's betrayal settled like a heavy stone on my chest. Every interaction with her was strained, filled with unspoken words and lingering resentment. The once familiar rhythms of our life together had been shattered, replaced by a hollow emptiness that seemed to echo through our home. I found myself withdrawing into solitude, seeking solace in the quiet corners of my mind where I could grapple with the enormity of what had happened. The children, Emily and Jason, remained oblivious to the storm brewing between their parents, their innocence a painful reminder of the deception that had torn our family apart. One evening, as I sat alone in my study surrounded by the relics of our life together, a wedding photo, a child's drawing, I heard the front door open and close with a soft click. Footsteps echoed down the hallway, followed by hushed voices that sent a chill down my spine. Curiosity mingled with dread as I rose from my chair and quietly made my way to the living room, careful to stay out of sight. Peering around the corner, I saw Claire standing near the staircase, her voice low and urgent. I can't keep living like this, Mark, she said, her tone tinged with desperation. Jack found out about the test results. He knows everything. Mark, tall and imposing with a presence that filled the room, stood a few feet away, his expression unreadable. What did he say? He asked quietly, his voice carrying a weight of its own. He's devastated, Claire admitted, tears welling up in her eyes. I don't know what to do. He won't talk to me, won't even look at me. Mark ran a hand through his hair, his brow furrowed in thought. You should have told him the truth years ago, he said finally, his voice tinged with regret. This was never fair to him or to the kids. I know, Claire whispered, her voice breaking. But I was scared, Mark. Scared of losing everything. A bitter laugh escaped him, devoid of humor. Look where that fear has gotten us, he said bitterly. You've destroyed his trust, our family's trust. And for what? Claire's shoulders slumped in defeat. I don't know, she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. I thought I could fix it somehow. Mark turned away, pacing the length of the room. There's no fixing this, he said firmly. Jack deserves to know the truth, and so do the kids. Claire's eyes widened in panic. No, Mark, we can't, she pleaded, her voice rising in desperation. They're too young. It would destroy them. They deserve to know who their real father is, Mark insisted, his tone unwavering. Keeping this secret only hurts them more in the long run. The words hung in the air like a heavy fog, casting a pall over the room. I gripped the doorframe, my knuckles turning white with the force of my emotions. The truth, raw and unfiltered, lay bare before me, a truth I could no longer deny. But amidst the turmoil, a flicker of determination ignited within me. Claire and Mark's betrayal had shattered my world, but I refused to let it destroy me. They would not dictate the course of my life any longer. As I retreated back to my study, the weight on my chest felt lighter somehow, replaced by a newfound resolve. The time for hiding in shadows and nursing wounds was over. It was time to confront the truth head-on and reclaim control of my shattered life. The children, Emily and Jason, deserved to know the truth. And Claire and Mark would face the consequences of their deception, no matter the cost. The revelation of Claire's betrayal echoed through my mind like a relentless drumbeat, impossible to ignore. Days passed in a haze of emotional turmoil, each moment a battle between anger, sorrow, and an overwhelming sense of betrayal. I found myself retreating into solitude more often, seeking refuge in the quiet corners of our home where I could wrestle with the enormity of what had happened. The children, Emily and Jason, remained unaware of the storm raging between their parents, their innocent laughter and playful banter a stark contrast to the turmoil in my heart. I couldn't look at them without feeling a pang of heartache, a reminder of the deception that had shattered our family. How could Claire have kept this from me for so long? How could she have allowed me to believe that these children were mine? The nights were the worst, filled with restless sleep and haunting dreams. I would wake in the darkness, my mind racing with unanswered questions and unspoken accusations. What had I done to deserve this? How could I ever trust again? Claire, for her part, seemed to retreat further into herself. She walked on eggshells around me, her attempts at conversation met with stony silence or terse responses. The divide between us widened with each passing day, a gulf too vast to bridge. Friends and family reached out with sympathetic words and well-meaning gestures, but their attempts at comfort only served to remind me of the shattered life I once knew. How could they understand the depth of my pain, the betrayal that had torn my world apart? Work became a refuge of sorts, a place where I could bury myself in tasks and deadlines, if only to escape the turmoil waiting for me at home. But even there, amidst the familiar hum of office chatter and the click of keyboards, I found no solace. In moments of quiet reflection, when the weight of my emotions threatened to overwhelm me, I would find myself clutching the letter and paternity test results, the damning evidence of Claire's betrayal. The truth was a bitter pill to swallow, a wound that refused to heal. And through it all, one question plagued me, a question that demanded an answer I wasn't sure I wanted to hear. What now? The children, Emily and Jason, were my greatest concern. How would they react when they found out the truth? How would I explain the inexplicable, the incomprehensible? But amidst the turmoil and uncertainty, one thing became painfully clear. Claire and Mark would not escape the consequences of their betrayal. They would regret the day they decided to deceive me. In the wake of Claire's betrayal, a heavy silence settled over our home like a suffocating blanket. Days blurred into weeks as I grappled with the overwhelming weight of emotions, the anger, the sorrow, the profound sense of betrayal. Every interaction with Claire felt like navigating a minefield, words left unspoken between us hanging heavy in the air. Amidst the turmoil, one decision crystallized in my mind. I would keep the truth hidden from Emily and Jason, for now. They were innocent in all of this, caught in the crossfire of their parents' mistakes. They deserved to grow up in a world untainted by the deception that had torn their family apart. Claire pleaded with me to reconsider, her voice tinged with desperation. "Jack, they deserve to know the truth," she urged, tears streaming down her face. "Keeping this from them, it's not fair." I shook my head, my jaw clenched with determination. "They're too young," I insisted, my voice firm despite the tremor of uncertainty within me. "They need time to process this. We can't burden them with our mistakes." Her eyes searched mine, pleading for understanding. "Jack, please," she whispered, her voice cracking with emotion. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But they're our children. They deserve to know who their real father is." The truth of her words cut through me like a knife. Emily and Jason deserve to know the truth, to understand the complexities of their identity and origins. But I couldn't bring myself to shatter their innocence. Not yet. "I need time," I said finally, my voice barely a whisper. "I need time to figure this out." She nodded silently, her shoulders slumping in resignation. The silence stretched between us, heavy with the weight of unspoken words and shattered dreams. How had our life together unraveled so completely? In the days that followed, I immersed myself in routine. Work, household chores, the careful facade of normalcy. Emily and Jason remained blissfully unaware of the turmoil brewing beneath the surface. Their laughter and playful antics, a bittersweet reminder of the family we had once been. But beneath the facade, turmoil churned within me, a storm of conflicting emotions and unanswered questions. How long could I keep the truth hidden? And what would happen when the inevitable moment arrived, when Emily and Jason learned the truth about their parentage? Claire and Mark's betrayal had shattered my trust, shattered our family, but I refused to let it destroy me completely. I would protect Emily and Jason, shield them from the pain and betrayal that had engulfed their parents' lives. And in the quiet moments, when the weight of my decisions threatened to overwhelm me, one thing became clear. Claire and Mark would face the consequences of their actions, of their betrayal. They would not escape unscathed, but for now, I would stay silent. For now, I would protect Emily and Jason from the truth that threatened to tear our family apart once more. As days turned into weeks, the initial shock and emotional turmoil began to give way to a simmering resolve within me. Claire's betrayal had shattered our family, but I refused to let it destroy me completely. Amidst the turmoil, a plan began to take shape, a plan for revenge. I retreated into the shadows of my own mind, meticulously plotting each step with a cold determination that surprised even myself. Claire and Mark had deceived me for 18 years, robbed me of the joys of fatherhood and the sanctity of marriage. Now, it was time for them to face the consequences of their actions. I began by meticulously gathering evidence. Old messages, emails, and photographs that documented Claire and Mark's affair over the years. Each piece of evidence was a dagger aimed at their carefully constructed facade of innocence. Next, I sought the counsel of a trusted lawyer, laying bare the truth of Claire's betrayal and Mark's paternity of Emily and Jason. Together, we strategized on the best course of action: divorce proceedings, custody arrangements, and financial settlements that would ensure Claire and Mark paid dearly for their deception. I took steps to protect my financial interests, discreetly moving assets and ensuring that Claire would be left with as little as possible. Money had never been my primary concern, but now it became a weapon, a means to ensure that Claire and Mark faced the full consequences of their betrayal. One evening, I orchestrated a family gathering, a carefully orchestrated trap where Claire and Mark's affair would be exposed publicly. Friends and extended family gathered innocently, unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. I watched with cold satisfaction as the pieces of my revenge fell into place. At the height of the gathering, I confronted Mark directly, a tense and emotional exchange where I laid bare the truth of his betrayal and Claire's complicity. His face paled as he realized the magnitude of what had been uncovered, his defenses crumbling under the weight of his guilt. Yet amidst the chaos of my revenge, I remained steadfast in my resolve to shield Emily and Jason from the truth. For now, they were innocent in all of this, caught in the web of their parents' mistakes. I would protect them, nurture them, and prepare them for the inevitable moment when they would learn the truth about their parentage. As the dust settled from the confrontation, I plunged headlong into divorce proceedings, armed with the evidence and legal counsel necessary to ensure a favorable outcome. Claire and Mark's reputations lay in tatters, their lives forever changed by the consequences of their betrayal. Amidst the wreckage of my shattered life, a new chapter began to unfold. I focused on rebuilding, not just for myself, but for Emily and Jason. They were my anchor in the storm, the reason I refused to let Claire and Mark's betrayal define me. But beneath the veneer of newfound strength, a seed of doubt lingered, a question that haunted me in quiet moments of reflection. Would my thirst for revenge ultimately consume me, or would it pave the way for a future free from the shadows of betrayal? Only time would tell. The days following my decision to seek revenge were a blur of focused determination. Every waking moment was consumed by the meticulous gathering of evidence, pieces of a puzzle that would expose Claire and Mark's deception and ensure they faced the consequences of their betrayal. I started with Claire's digital footprint, combing through old emails, text messages, and social media interactions that hinted at the affair with Mark. Each exchange, once innocent in appearance, now revealed the underlying deceit that had festered for years. Hidden within the archives of our shared accounts were conversations, coded messages, and clandestine rendezvous plans that painted a damning portrait of Claire's infidelity. The realization of how long they had been deceiving me stung like a fresh wound. Photographs, once cherished mementos of family vacations and milestones, now became evidence of Claire's betrayal. Images of Claire and Mark together, captured in moments of intimacy that mocked the facade of our marriage, fueled the fire of my determination. I discreetly reached out to mutual friends and acquaintances, carefully probing for any knowledge or suspicion of Claire and Mark's affair. Each hesitant revelation confirmed what I already knew, a web of deceit that had ensnared not just me, but those around us as well. I scrutinized financial records, tracing transactions and expenditures that hinted at financial support given to Mark over the years. Money had flowed freely, a silent testament to Claire's betrayal and Mark's willingness to exploit our trust. In a final bid for irrefutable proof, I hired a private investigator, a seasoned professional whose expertise lay in uncovering secrets buried beneath layers of deceit. With quiet determination, the investigator delved into Claire and Mark's activities, piecing together a timeline of their affair with surgical precision. Each day brought new revelations and setbacks, but I persisted with unwavering determination. The weight of the evidence I had amassed grew heavier with each piece, a mountain of proof that would crush any hope Claire and Mark had of escaping unscathed. Through sleepless nights and restless days, I immersed myself in the task at hand, compiling, organizing, and strategizing. The evidence was not just a means to an end. It was a lifeline, a pathway to justice and retribution for the betrayal that had shattered my life. But amidst the relentless pursuit of evidence, a seed of doubt gnawed at me. A nagging question that threatened to undermine my resolve. Was revenge truly the answer, or would it consume me in its wake? Despite the uncertainty, one thing remained clear. I would not rest until Claire and Mark faced the consequences of their actions. They would rue the day they decided to deceive me, and justice would be served, no matter the cost. Armed with a mountain of evidence that laid bare Claire and Mark's betrayal, I embarked on the next phase of my plan. Legal maneuvering. It was time to wield the evidence like a sword, striking at the heart of their deception and ensuring they faced the full consequences of their actions. I sought the counsel of a seasoned lawyer, a trusted ally whose expertise in family law and divorce proceedings would be invaluable. Together, we reviewed the evidence meticulously, strategizing on the best approach to maximize the impact in court. With my lawyer's guidance, I meticulously prepared documentation, affidavits, financial records, and witness statements that would serve as the backbone of my case. Each piece of evidence was a brick in the foundation of justice I sought to build. The legal battle began in earnest with the filing of divorce proceedings. Armed with the evidence of Claire's infidelity and Mark's paternity of Emily and Jason, I pursued a divorce on grounds of irreconcilable differences and breach of trust. As a father, I fought passionately for custody of Emily and Jason. While they remained unaware of the truth about their parentage, their well-being and future were paramount in my mind. I sought to shield them from the fallout of Claire and Mark's betrayal, ensuring they would have stability and security amidst the turmoil. Financial negotiations became another battleground. I insisted on a fair division of assets, leveraging the evidence of Claire's financial support to Mark over the years as leverage. Money had been a weapon in their betrayal. It would now serve as a means of retribution and restitution. To protect myself and the children from any potential retaliation or further deceit, I obtained restraining orders and legal protections against Claire and Mark. Safety and security became non-negotiables in the aftermath of their betrayal. The courtroom became the stage where the truth of Claire and Mark's betrayal was laid bare for all to see. Witnesses testified, evidence was presented, and emotions ran high as the full extent of their deception unfolded in front of judge and jury. Through it all, I remained steadfast in my determination to seek justice, not just for myself, but for Emily and Jason. Their innocence in all of this was a stark reminder of the duty I bore as their father, to protect them, to shield them from the fallout of their parents' mistakes. But amidst the legal battles and courtroom drama, a nagging question persisted. Would justice truly bring closure, or was the pursuit of revenge consuming me in its wake? I pushed aside the doubt, focusing instead on the goal ahead, the day when Claire and Mark would face the consequences of their betrayal, and I would reclaim control of my shattered life. With the legal battle underway and the truth of Claire and Mark's betrayal exposed in court, I turned my attention to another crucial aspect of my revenge: financial retaliation. Money had been a silent weapon in their deception, and now it would serve as a means of ensuring they faced the full consequences of their actions. I took decisive steps to protect my financial interests, ensuring that Claire would be left with as little as possible in the divorce settlement. With the guidance of my lawyer, I secured assets and investments that were rightfully mine, shielding them from Claire's grasp. Despite Claire's betrayal, I knew that financial support for Emily and Jason was non-negotiable. I negotiated for a fair alimony and child support arrangement, ensuring that Claire would bear the financial responsibility for her actions, at least in part. The evidence of Claire's financial support to Mark over the years became a critical leverage point in negotiations. I insisted that Claire be held accountable for her choices, both morally and financially, ensuring that her betrayal would not go unpunished. I scrutinized joint business ventures and investments, ensuring that any assets acquired through deceit or collaboration with Mark were exposed and accounted for in the divorce proceedings. Transparency became a tool of retribution, revealing the extent of Claire and Mark's deception. With the divorce proceedings underway, I ensured that legal safeguards were in place to prevent Claire and Mark from accessing or misappropriating any remaining joint assets or funds. Trust had been shattered. It would not be rebuilt without stringent protections in place. Beyond immediate financial retaliation, I engaged in long-term financial planning to secure a stable future for myself and the children. Investments, savings accounts, and insurance policies became tools of empowerment, ensuring that we would not be vulnerable to the fallout of Claire and Mark's betrayal. Through it all, a sense of grim satisfaction fueled my determination. Claire and Mark had upended my life with their deceit, but I refused to let their actions define my future. Financial retaliation became a means of reclaiming control, of asserting my independence and resilience in the face of adversity. Yet, amidst the pursuit of financial justice, a lingering question persisted. Would my thirst for revenge ultimately consume me, or could I find a way to heal and rebuild in the aftermath of Claire and Mark's betrayal? I pushed aside the doubt, focusing instead on the path ahead, the day when justice would be served, and I could finally begin to rebuild my shattered life. As the legal and financial battles raged on, I meticulously planned the next phase of my revenge, the setup. It was time to expose Claire and Mark's affair publicly, to shatter the facade of innocence they had maintained for so long, and ensure they faced the consequences of their betrayal. I orchestrated a family gathering, a seemingly innocent event where friends, extended family, and acquaintances would gather under the guise of celebration. It was the perfect setting, a carefully crafted trap where Claire and Mark's deception would be laid bare. With calculated precision, I sent out invitations, ensuring that Claire and Mark would attend. The anticipation of what was to come simmered beneath the surface, hidden behind smiles and polite conversation. Throughout the gathering, I observed Claire and Mark discreetly, watching for telltale signs of their guilt, their discomfort. Their interactions, once familiar and seemingly innocent, now held a weight of betrayal that threatened to suffocate me. At a strategic moment, when all eyes were on them, I confronted Claire and Mark publicly, a calculated move designed to expose their affair. With a steady voice and unwavering resolve, I presented the evidence. Old messages, photographs, and witness testimonies that painted a damning picture of their deception. The revelation sent shockwaves through the gathering. Friends and family reacted with a mix of disbelief, outrage, and sympathy. Claire's tears and Mark's stunned silence were a testament to the gravity of what had been uncovered. Their carefully constructed facade, crumbling under the weight of undeniable truth. Emotions ran high as accusations flew and explanations faltered. I stood firm, refusing to back down in the face of their denial and excuses. The confrontation was a cathartic release, an affirmation of my determination to seek justice and ensure Claire and Mark faced the consequences of their actions. In the aftermath of the setup, public opinion shifted decisively. Friends and acquaintances rallied around me, offering support and solidarity in the wake of Claire and Mark's betrayal. The community's reaction became a barometer of the moral judgment Claire and Mark now faced. Through it all, a mix of emotions surged within me: anger, betrayal, and a sense of grim satisfaction. The setup had been a calculated risk, a pivotal moment in my quest for revenge. Claire and Mark's world had been turned upside down, their deception laid bare for all to see. Yet, amidst the turmoil and triumph, a nagging question persisted. Had justice truly been served, or had my pursuit of revenge consumed me in its wake? I pushed aside the doubt, focusing instead on the road ahead, the day when Claire and Mark would fully comprehend the consequences of their betrayal, and I could begin to rebuild my shattered life on my own terms. After the public revelation of Claire and Mark's affair at the family gathering, emotions continued to run high. The fallout from the setup reverberated through our lives, leaving a trail of shattered trust and fractured relationships in its wake. Amidst the chaos, one crucial confrontation awaited: my direct confrontation with Mark. I waited for the right moment to confront Mark alone, a private meeting that would allow me to confront him directly about his betrayal and his role in deceiving me for 18 years. It was a moment fraught with tension, anticipation, and the weight of unanswered questions. We met in a neutral location, a quiet cafe on the outskirts of town. The atmosphere was tense, charged with unspoken accusations and the palpable sense of betrayal that hung between us like a heavy fog. As we sat across from each other, I locked eyes with Mark, searching for any trace of remorse or guilt. His expression was guarded, his posture defensive. Without preamble, I plunged into the heart of the matter. With a voice tinged with emotion, I confronted Mark about his affair with Claire. The years of deception, the betrayal of my trust, and the devastating impact on our family. Each word was a dagger aimed at the heart of his carefully constructed facade. I demanded answers. Why had he betrayed our friendship and violated the sanctity of our marriages? What had driven him to deceive me for so long, to play a role in denying me the joys of fatherhood and the truth about my children? Mark's defenses crumbled under the weight of my accusations. He struggled to justify his actions, his words faltering as he attempted to reconcile the irreconcilable. The confrontation was raw, intense, and cathartic, a reckoning that laid bare the consequences of his betrayal. In the midst of the confrontation, I sought closure, not just for myself, but for the wounds inflicted on our friendship and the damage done to our families. The conversation was a painful reckoning, a step towards understanding the depths of Mark's betrayal and its lasting repercussions. Through it all, emotions surged within me, a mix of anger, sorrow, and a profound sense of loss. Confronting Mark was a pivotal moment in my journey towards healing and reclaiming control of my shattered life. His betrayal had irrevocably changed everything, but the confrontation marked a crucial step towards closure and moving forward. Yet, amidst the turmoil and emotional turmoil, a lingering question persisted. Could I ever truly forgive Mark for his betrayal, or would the scars of his deception haunt me forever? I pushed aside the doubt, focusing instead on the road ahead, the day when I would emerge stronger, wiser, and ready to rebuild my life on my own terms. The decision weighed heavily on my heart, the inevitable moment when Emily and Jason would learn the truth about their parentage. They were innocent bystanders caught in the fallout of Claire and Mark's betrayal, and yet they deserved to know the truth that had reshaped our family. Before broaching the subject with Emily and Jason, I spent restless nights preparing myself emotionally. How would I explain the incomprehensible, reassure them amidst the chaos, and shield them from the pain of betrayal? I waited for a quiet moment, a time when Emily and Jason were calm and receptive. The weight of the truth hung heavy in the air, a truth that would forever alter their perception of family and identity. With a voice steady but laden with emotion, I sat them down and began to unravel the truth, their mother's infidelity, Mark's paternity, and the deception that had clouded our lives for so long. Their innocent faces mirrored a spectrum of emotions: confusion, disbelief, and eventually sorrow. I reassured Emily and Jason that none of this was their fault, that they were loved unconditionally despite the circumstances. I held them close, offering comfort and stability amidst the storm that threatened to engulf us. Their questions came in a torrent. Why had this happened? Who was their biological father? How could their mother have kept such a monumental secret? Each question was a dagger to my heart, but I answered honestly, striving to provide clarity amidst the confusion. Emotions ran high in the aftermath of the revelation. Tears were shed, hugs exchanged, and a newfound sense of vulnerability bonded us together in shared pain. Our family had been shattered, but amidst the broken pieces, a fragile sense of unity began to emerge. I leaned on our support network, trusted friends, family members, and counselors, who offered guidance and reassurance as we navigated the tumultuous aftermath of Claire and Mark's betrayal. Their presence became a lifeline, a source of strength in moments of doubt and despair. Through it all, I grappled with conflicting emotions. A sense of duty to reveal the truth, tempered by the pain of seeing Emily and Jason wrestle with the fallout. They were my priority, my reason for pushing forward amidst the wreckage of our shattered family. Yet, amidst the turmoil and emotional upheaval, a nagging question persisted. Could our family ever heal from the wounds inflicted by Claire and Mark's betrayal, or had their deception irreparably altered the fabric of our lives? I pushed aside the doubt, focusing instead on the road ahead, the day when we would emerge stronger, resilient, and ready to rebuild our family on a foundation of truth and unconditional love. The divorce proceedings loomed ahead like a daunting mountain, casting a shadow over our fractured family in the aftermath of Claire and Mark's betrayal. It was a necessary step, a legal and emotional reckoning that would untangle the web of deceit and pave the way for a new beginning. With the support of my lawyer, I navigated the complexities of divorce proceedings with a mix of determination and weariness. We reviewed the evidence meticulously: emails, messages, financial records that exposed Claire's infidelity and Mark's paternity of Emily and Jason. The grounds for divorce were clear: irreconcilable differences, breach of trust, and the irreparable damage caused by Claire and Mark's deception. Each document filed, each court appearance scheduled, brought us closer to closure and resolution. The welfare of Emily and Jason remained at the forefront of my mind as we negotiated child custody and visitation rights. I fought fiercely for their stability and well-being, ensuring they would have a stable environment amidst the turmoil of divorce. Financial negotiations became another battleground. I sought a fair division of assets, leveraging the evidence of Claire's financial support to Mark and ensuring that she bore the financial responsibility for her choices. Emotions ran high throughout the divorce proceedings. Anger, sorrow, and a profound sense of betrayal intermingled with the practicalities of legal negotiations. The courtroom became a stage where the truth of Claire and Mark's betrayal was laid bare for judge and jury. I ensured that legal safeguards were in place to protect myself and the children from any further deceit or manipulation. Restraining orders and legal protections became essential tools in safeguarding our future. As the divorce proceedings progressed, I sought closure, not just for myself, but for Emily and Jason. Their innocence in all of this was a constant reminder of the duty I bore as their father, to protect them, to shield them from the fallout of Claire and Mark's mistakes. Through it all, I grappled with conflicting emotions, a sense of relief that the end was in sight, tempered by the lingering pain of betrayal. Claire and Mark's actions had shattered our family, but amidst the wreckage, a glimmer of hope emerged, the hope of rebuilding, of forging a new path forward. Yet, amidst the legal battles and emotional turbulence, a nagging question persisted. Could I ever truly heal from the wounds inflicted by Claire and Mark's betrayal, or would the scars of their deception haunt me forever? I pushed aside the doubt, focusing instead on the road ahead, The day when justice would be served, and I could begin to rebuild my shattered life on my own terms. With the finalization of the divorce and the tumultuous chapter of Claire and Mark's betrayal behind us, a new chapter began. A chapter of healing, rebuilding, and embracing new beginnings. In the quiet aftermath of the divorce, I found solace in solitude, a time to reflect, to heal the wounds inflicted by years of deception and betrayal. The empty spaces once filled with turmoil now offered a canvas for personal growth and rediscovery. Emily and Jason, resilient in their innocence and resilience, became my anchors in the storm. Together, we navigated the emotional aftermath of Claire and Mark's betrayal, leaning on each other for strength and support. I immersed myself in rebuilding, a career that had been neglected amidst the turmoil, hobbies rediscovered, and friendships rekindled. Each step forward was a testament to resilience and determination, a refusal to be defined by the scars of the past. Counseling became a cornerstone of our healing journey, a safe space to process emotions, to untangle the complexities of betrayal, and to envision a future free from the shadows of Claire and Mark's deception. Despite the fractures in our relationship, Claire and I navigated the delicate balance of company parenting Emily and Jason. Bound by our shared responsibility to their well-being, we set aside animosity for the sake of our children's stability. Slowly, joy returned to our lives, a laughter that echoed through our home, moments of genuine happiness amidst the trials of rebuilding. The wounds of betrayal healed, leaving behind scars that spoke of resilience and newfound strength. As time passed, the wounds of Claire and Mark's betrayal faded into distant memory. Our family emerged stronger, united by the bond of unconditional love and the shared journey through adversity. Through it all, I learned the power of forgiveness, not as an exoneration of Claire and Mark's actions, but as a pathway to my own peace and healing. Their betrayal had irrevocably changed our lives, but it had also paved the way for growth, resilience, and the rediscovery of what truly mattered. The journey from betrayal to new beginnings was arduous, marked by moments of despair and triumph. Yet, amidst the wreckage, we found redemption, a testament to the indomitable human spirit and the capacity to rise from the ashes of betrayal. As I watched Emily and Jason thrive in the warmth of our renewed family bonds, I knew that we had not just survived. We had emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to embrace the future with open hearts and unwavering resolve. And so, with a heart full of hope and gratitude, I closed the chapter on Claire and Mark's betrayal, a chapter that had tested our limits, shattered our illusions, and ultimately led us to the profound realization that even amidst betrayal there is always the possibility of new beginnings.